One of the most lilting English debuts of 1982 was by a band with a tall, blonde, charismatic frontman with a slightly nervy yet commanding voice. And the band were aided by the production wizardry of Rupert Hine. I am talking about the Fixx, and from their debut album Shuttered Room, the track Lost Plains.
When you're hanging from a parachute, the whistling wind might play your flute, so forget it.
Okay, the first lines, when you're hanging from a parachute, the whistling wind might play your flute, so forget it. Lost traffic. So we're kind of in peril already, and those nervy, like all these different sounds kind of coming in with their really like kinetic, staccato sounds like here or there.
Someone said you couldn't fly the plane, so I guess this journey's all in vain, so forget it.
What do you think all these sounds are coming from? There's that, and then there's like that. Let's see. Someone said you couldn't fly the plane, so I guess this journey's all in vain, so forget it. Lost traffic. Flying high, but your fuel is low. How far can a missing plane go? So forget it. Lost. So, two people are trying to get out of a situation, and yet one person is flying the plane, but doesn't really know how to fly it, and that was like their only. I kind of have an idea of what this. I used to think that this was about a passenger plane, but now as I read these verses, I'm thinking, no, this is like a private plane, like escape from a remote location.
Tell you that you're flying radar, but is that not safer to take that cover? On a lost place, I should have taken a train. On a lost place, forget it. On a lost place, I should have taken a train. On a lost place, forget it.
I love this like open cadence section with those chorused guitars, or chorus sounds of some kind, and just the kind of like glowing like neon like chords coming under like of the synth, and of course just the nervous. The nervous kinetic energy that we were hearing going into this almost, you kind of like wonder where these, is this person like, is the narrator bracing for impact here? I always thought this was about a passenger plane because of the line, I should have taken the train, like he had other options on how to travel. But as I read these verses, I get the sense that he's talking directly to the pilot, or the would-be pilot, or the not quite skilled pilot. But then again, the plane is ill-equipped for takeoff. There's a few interpretations that are possible here.
the train on a lost place.
And I love the way that the word "forget it" gets echoed. I imagine a Rupert Hine suggestion, like not much credit is given on Discogs as to all the instruments being used. At least if I look at this entry, I wonder if another entry will give more. Nor did I, and the information given on Wikipedia for the Shuttered Room entry is pretty basic too. It just says Curnin vocals, Rupert Greenall keyboards, Jamie West-Oram guitar, Charlie Barrett bass, Adam Woods percussion drums. It's very bare bones. They're not giving away like make, model, effects, pedals used, what kind of gadgetry Rupert Hine was pulling behind the console. Like this does bear quite a bit of resemblance to like Waving Not Drowning, Rupert Hine's own like album from 1982. That Curnin appears on at least one track, Innocence in Paradise. I believe his vocals are heard behind Hines on the chorus. And they of course would do a duet a few years later.
So when you're hanging from a parachute, the whistling wind might play your flute, so forget it. Let's stop it. Tell you that you're flying radar, but it's that much safer to take that car.
I love the way you hear those stretched out like vowels. Caw. It's like you can tell that the nerves of the situation, the urgency of the situation. Tell you that you're flying to tell you that you're flying radar, but it's that much safer to take that car. Huh? So a car would have been an option, or a car still is an option. But then he regrets not taking the train. I'm a little bit thrown by where the situation that they're in while these lyrics are being sung. Yeah, because that line, I should have taken the train like a guy on a passenger plane, you know, bracing for impact, like they're heading down, or the plane is already off the radar, like ground control can't is getting no signal. It's like they've gone off the grid, kind of like that plane that was lost like 6 years ago, back in 2013 or so, that still hasn't been found, and you just don't know the exact fate of the passengers, and this could be like the last moments. Like, I should have taken the train, so forget it. I love the way that he just swelled up towards the end. That whoa, yeah. Curnin could be like nervy, and yet very charismatic at the same time. Very commanding, you know. Just yeah, one of rock's more enigmatic frontmen. Like kind of robotic in a way, sci-fi obsessed, and yet really alpha at the same time, and had those like blonde good looks and all. The band always had interesting lyrics that keep you wondering. Very well-deserved success of the second British invasion. Definitely one of the top tier acts. Like the whole class of 82, 83 that took over American radio. Thanks to MTV kind of leading the way. MTV kind of picking up the baton that radio had let languish for a time, because radio had gotten really stuffy and really play it safe for a while, And then it was up to MTV to break these new English bands, because it was the English bands that were making videos, because there was a market for video in England for quite a few years before a market existed in the States. And then, MTV came along, and it was the first time that American TV had like daytime, all hours music content since like the 1960s, since the Ed Sullivan Show had went off the air. Like throughout the 70s, the only time to watch music on TV was when like the midnight special aired, which was past a lot of bedtimes. A lot of people missed it, and it's been traced how bands like Duran Duran and their ilk that were breaking through via MTV, they were selling in the markets that had cable television. That's like the initial sales were in the markets like that were hooked up and where kids were seeing MTV, because radio wasn't doing it. Of course, radio did do it for Don't You Want Me, and for Don't You Want Me broke like in the summer of '82. It had been out for like it was already a hit like in December, Christmas time of '81 thereabouts in the UK, and then like summer of '82 it was breaking through in the States, and then Iran broke out that fall. Iran may have, I think radio may have been a bit kinder to Human League in their initial breakthrough. Although they ended up having kind of a scattered chart history in the States, just like one hit every few years or so. And then Iran may have been the first song where MTV truly made a chart impact in leading the way, and then kind of forcing radio's hand to start playing like Flock of Seagulls. And then the Fixx kind of broke through kind of with this album Minor, and then the next album, Reach the Beach, was a big success. And then '83 was like the real floodgates. Like early '83 I think was the big floodgates for Duran Duran and the other acts that followed. And then '83 of course, the Eurythmics, Spandau Ballet having a few hits here, although they never quite broke the States to the same degree that they ruled the UK, where they were like neck and neck with Duran Duran. They were Duran's chief rival during that time. And of course, I cannot leave out the Culture Club, the other big band of the second British invasion, breaking through in like late '82, had like all those singles like from Kissing to Be Clever. I think like kind of just as '83 beckoned was where they had their floodgates in the States, and suddenly they were the first band since the Beatles to have 3 top 10 hits off a debut album, like an amazing feat. Well, when you count Time, Clock of My Heart, which was added to US pressings of Kissing to Be Clever. It wasn't on the UK version. It was a Christmas '82 single. And '83, a big year for British acts. The high water mark being in July, when I don't know the statistic off the top of my head, but it's out there. A week in July, there were more, the vast majority of top 40 hits being by English artists. And ironically, the only band of this whole wave of English new pop that didn't simultaneously break big in the States during 1983 was Wham, who ultimately, as you know, like a year later would put out their second album, and that would finally break them through in this country, and then they would become like one of the biggest acts of the decade, arguably even bigger than Duran, or just neck and neck with Duran, the Culture Club, and of course George Michael would later release one of the biggest albums of the decade. And in a way, kind of, I'd say his career combined, Wham and his solo career combined, pretty much outdistanced pretty much everyone else from the second British invasion. But a wonderful era in pop, the last classic period in pop, like a golden age unto itself. Like for people who are fans of like Cashbox, Billboard, from that era, from the late '50s to the late '80s, that 3-year period, you could say the the second British invasion of like 83, 84, 83, 85, you could say, the last classic golden period of top 40, of American top 40. Before the music changed, before, you see, because that was the last period in which a good song was still a good song, in which songs were built around melody, chord structures, lyrics, you had an intro, you had a verse, you had a pre-chorus that took things elsewhere from the verse. Then you had like a memorable chorus. Then like distinct parts. You had several hooks within a chorus. It's like you can think of so many songs from the period. It's like think of I was just one song I was examining in my head recently was "Since You're Gone" by the Cars, and I was thinking there must be like 4 different distinct hooks that you could instantly identify that song with. It's like, name the 80s song that goes, I'm throwing it all away. Or name the 80s song that goes, I can't help it. Or name the 80s song that goes, since you're gone. You see, 3 distinct hooks right there. You could just say, and so that was the Fixx we heard. Lost Plains, released as a single in 1981 and then included on their just ruby-packed album Shuttered Room, released in 1982, produced by Rupert Hine, also a prolific solo artist in his own right, and who that same year produced the Worlds Apart album by Saga, another really good release, and had been working with very ex Genesis guitarist Anthony Phillips on some of his projects around that time. And would, in 1984, just soon after this, produce Tina Turner's big comeback album, Break Every Rule. And Curnin would appear in the video for the single "You Better Be Good to Me." He comes out on the stage and dances with Tina, and she kind of like gets all tough with him, and you start to sense that he's like the antagonist in the lyrics that she's singing about. When she says, I ain't got no time for your overloaded line, and I ain't got no use for what you usually call the truth. You better be, and that he must have been the 2-time in wrongdoing fellow that she was singing about. Anyway, for more Rubies and Sapphires from the Fixx, see the directory of English F albums linked in the description below for Rubies and Sapphires from, like the first Fixx 80s era catalog, and from other F bands like from England like Fleetwood Mac, Family, Fairport Convention, Funboy 3, Free, Foghat, The Fabulous Poodles, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Fine Young Cannonballs. Yeah, the list goes on and on and on. And like and subscribe, and until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most ear-traveled trap maximalist, signing off.